The United States and at least 20 other nations have joined in a mass expulsion of Russian diplomats. 60 are being kicked out of the U.S. alone in a bid to punish the Kremlin for an attack on a former Russian spy. Nick Schifrin begins our coverage.
From the British Parliament,
it is part of a pattern of increasingly aggressive Russian behavior.
To the European Council,
we remain critical of the actions of the Russian government.
To the White House.
This is not the type of conduct that the United States or allies can accept.
A united attempt to isolate and punish Russia for the alleged poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia. Today, 18 countries simultaneously announced expulsions of more than 100 Russian diplomats accused of being intelligence officers. European leaders say they wanted to express solidarity with British Prime Minister Theresa May.
Together we have sent a message that we will not tolerate Russia's continued attempts to flout international law and undermine our values.
In addition to closing the Seattle consulate, the Trump administration will expel 60 Russians accused of spying, the largest number of Russians expelled from the U.S. ever. In response, Russia vowed Cold War-style reciprocal retaliation. The Russian embassy in Washington trolled with a Twitter poll. Which U.S. consulate general would you close in Russia if it was up to you? Ambassador to the U.S. Anatoly Antonov said Moscow had nothing to do with the former spy's death.
What the United States of America is doing today, they are destroying what little remained of U.S.-Russian ties. I would add that all the responsibility for ruining Russian-American relations is on the United States of America.
The U.S.-Russia relationship has been deteriorating since the 2014 Russian invasion and annexation of Crimea. In 2016, in response to election hacking, the Obama administration closed Russian compounds. Then Moscow limited the number of U.S. staffers in Russia. Then the U.S. closed Russia's San Francisco consulate. Then the Trump administration imposed more sanctions. Today's announcement is the Trump administration's harshest punishment to date.
I had a call with President Putin and congratulated him on the victory.
President Trump himself has not echoed his administration's criticism of Russia. Today, the White House said Russia must change its behavior, but said the door to dialogue was still open. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.
And Nick will be back to explore the implications of all this right after the news summary. President Trump's foreign policy came under attack today from a man who once occupied the Oval Office. I spoke with former President Jimmy Carter this morning in New York. Mr. Carter had vowed to work with the White House on North Korea, but took aim at Mr. Trump's pick for National Security Advisor. It's been a remarkably turbulent, tumultuous, some say, first 14 months in office. How do you think he's doing?
I don't think he's doing well. He's made some very serious mistakes. I think the worst mistake he's made so far has been the appointment of John Bolton to be his national security advisor. I know Bolton from way back at a distance. I've never met him personally. But he has been very eager to go to war with different people, including North Korea and Iran. He's been in the forefront of every kind of radical enhancement that the United States can make based on its own military prowess. He's told lies about things where I knew the truth. And so I just have very little confidence in him.
And you can tune in for my full interview with former President Jimmy Carter tomorrow on the NewsHour.